Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Kindergarten Arts Showcase. We've had a rewarding experience working with your children putting together this project. We integrated the arts with language arts and created original children's work. We believe that nothing stands alone, and we believe in the power of the arts across subject areas. You're about to see a video that shows you the process of what your children have been doing in recent weeks. You will see them in all of their arts classes working to put together this performance for you. Please enjoy.
We read Where the Wild Things Are, and we had a discussion about the story and the characters and what happened as Max went to this island of wild things, and how the story went from his reality of his bedroom to the imaginary island of the wild things, and then back to his bedroom, and we discussed how it probably was all a dream for Max.
In art, we really looked at, we began by looking at real animals in the wild, like tigers and lions and reindeer, and they looked at what the actual colors were and what the textures they had on them and the elements that made a wild animal look wild. And so they came up with feathers and fur and stripes and teeth and claws and antlers, and then we looked at Maurice Sendak's artwork in the book Where the Wild Things Are, and looked at his wild things and looked at what made them wild. And they had a very similar list: the claws, fur, and horns. So at that point, they made a drawing of their own wild thing. And they, instead of using the realistic colors of animals, they drew from their imagination and used imaginary colors for their wild things in their sketchbooks.
Then in theater, we pantomimed being Max and the wild things, and we discussed how we would act differently when we were playing Max versus when we were being the wild things. And we did the whole story, and each kid got to be Max, and they crossed the ocean, and they went to an island of the wild things where all the other kids were there being wild things, and they roared at them. And each person, when Max became king, got to be king and say, "Be still," and all the kids practiced responding to that Max and freezing for them.
In Creative Movement, we wanted to show the Wild Rumpus dance, and we wanted to show it with the emotion of the story and show the characters from the story. So we started with basic monster shapes and then started using fast movement to show the celebration. And what was really interesting for me was at the end of the dance, when I told them to each freeze in their own monster character, they all had something different to show, and they all used different facial expressions, their bodies were different, their levels were different, and I think the dance showed that they could be individuals and a group at the same time.
In contrast to that, we took in music class the exact same Wild Rumpus song and slowed it down and had the children learn the text and sang the actual song with one of their teachers playing guitar, Miss Contreras. You'll hear it at the actual showcase. She's actually playing guitar while the kids are singing. So it was a slower version of what they were doing in a celebratory dance.
And after they started singing it in her class, they would hear the same words in my song, and they just automatically started singing it. I didn't even tell them to do it.
And they loved it.
They knew the words.
They loved it.
And I didn't know the words.
And music class, in terms of the high and low that they did in Creative Movement, we took the concept of high and low from the story because Max crosses the water twice in the text of the story, and we in music class wanted to create a sound carpet that emulated the highs and lows of water. So we had an ocean orchestra where I was the conductor, And as we added instruments, the sound got higher and higher. And as they took instruments away, the sound got lower and lower. And the only way the children knew that they were to play is that they watched for their stop and start signal.
Right. And we went off of that same concept in creative movement. We did high and low waves with their body, and you'll see some of the students reaching really high and then like crawling on the ground. They really wanted to show the difference between high and low, and we explored that concept a lot in my class.
So get ready for the kindergarten showcase.
Pure imagination.
Pure imagination.
Pure imagination.
Pure imagination.
Action.